Year Fives, and I hope you had a really good weekend. It's Monday again, and it's another Monday history lesson. And today we're going to look at the Vikings in a bit more detail. We're going to try and describe how particular groups of Vikings lived. So looking at Viking way of life. So just a few questions to warm up your brains. What do you already know about the Vikings? Can you name 3 things? Because we have been learning about the Vikings for a week now. What questions did you come up with in today's English lesson? Because I know today's English was all about questions. Hopefully we'll start to answer some of those questions today. Pause the video now and just go through those questions now. Okay, super. So here we go. What types of Vikings would there have been? If we're going to look at groups of Viking people, what kinds of groups of Vikings were there? See if you can make a list, and I wonder how many you can come up with. Okay, so there's loads of things you could have thought about. Farmers, warriors, men, women, children. You could have had boys, girls, blacksmiths, crafters, ship makers, all sorts of things. I'm sure you came up with loads of ideas. Okay, so I want us to travel back in time to meet Gudrun, who is a Viking child. He has a lot to tell us about his day. So he's going to take us through a day in the life of a Viking child. And from what he says, we're going to be able to learn a lot about the Vikings and how they lived. So I've got a bit of a challenge for you, Monday challenge. See if you can find a fact for each of the categories below. And you can earn 1 point for every single fact that you come up with. So how many points can you score? Remember to separate out your facts, okay? Each idea is a separate fact. So how many categories are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A possible of 8 points there. I'm sure you can do better than that. I'm sure you can get more facts as we go through. Okay, I'll try and stop and explain some of the words that Gudrun might say, because some of the words might be new to us. Okay, I'll just give you a moment to pause the video and go and grab a pen, pencil, something to write with and something to write on, because you're going to need to make some notes here, aren't you? Collect your facts. Okay, super. So here we go. Hello, my name is Gudrun. I live on a farm with my father Olaf, my mother Sigrid, my aunt Frith, my brothers Sven and Eagle, my sister Un and baby Thora. My cousin Harold also lives with us. He and his mother came to live with us after my uncle was killed in a place called Jorvik, far away to the west. Ooh, bonus point if you know where Jorvik is. We also have a thrall, you would call him a slave, to help on the farm. His name is Thord, and he used to be a neighbour of ours until he lost all his possessions and couldn't pay everyone he'd borrowed money from. He was given to us as a thrall at the Thing, you might call it a court, as he borrowed food and money from us. Because we're free people and we have our own farm, we're called Carls. Today I'm very tired. We were up very late last night because it was the ceremony of Frey. He's the god of new life, and we always have a feast for him at planting time. We have a statue of him that gets decorated with lots of flowers and gets carried through several villages. In our village, we sacrificed a whole goat for him, but in the next village, they could only find a chicken. That means our crops will be much better than theirs this summer. I'm glad I don't live there. So now he's going to tell us about working on the farm. Even though we were up very late, we still have to get up at sunrise. Egil and I have to feed the pigs and chickens after we've washed our faces and combed our hair. I have a lovely comb made from deer antler. I have it hanging from one of my brooches that holds my tunic at the shoulders. All our special things are carried there to keep them safe. Mum's making griddle cakes from ground oats, which we will eat with butter and honey. We also have buttermilk to drink. It's still very cold, so I have my lovely warm cloak to wear over my dress and tunic. Oh, so we're learning a few things here. They must like to care for their appearance, these Vikings. Okay. After breakfast, I'll help Mum milk the cows. We grow and make everything that we need on our farm. I've heard that you have places called shops where you can buy anything that you want. But here in our village, there's nothing like that at all. We have to make everything ourselves. I will use some of the milk to make butter. We pour the milk into a tall, thin barrel, and then I have a special stick which I thump up and down for ages until butter starts to form in the milk. Any milk that isn't turned to butter we call buttermilk, and we use it as a drink. Eggle is supposed to help with this, but he sometimes slips out when Mum isn't looking and goes off down the stream to his sailboats, to sail his boats or fight great battles with his friends. However, Dad, Sven and Thord will need him to help scare away the birds after they've planted the oats and the barley. The birds would eat all our seed and leave us with nothing to eat if we didn't chase them away. Next month, Eggle and I will have to weed the crops to make sure that the seedlings get enough light and water to grow. So now he's going to talk to us about making flour. He's a busy boy, this Viking lad, isn't he? Now it's well after midday. I've heard that you have a meal at this time, but we don't. There's still loads of work to do. I have to grind the few remaining ears of oats and barley that we have left from last year to make flour. I have 2 flat round stones to do this. The top stone has holes in it. Father put a handle on it to allow me to turn the stone, and the other hole is for putting the grain into, so it drops between the 2 stones and gets ground up as I turn the top stone. My sister Un used to do this every day, but she has a really good job working for the Jarl, that's the local chief, and his family. She helps in the kitchen there, and she's always busy. The Jarl has lots of feasts and banquets for other Jarls. Soon, when all the crops have been planted, Father will sail west with the Jarls. They will go to that big island that's now called Great Britain to trade. Grandfather used to tell stories of his grandfather and how they used to sail over to the island and took anything they wanted. Of course, they did have to fight for it, but the people that lived there were really scared of them and ran away most of the time. Nowadays, we trade with them rather than fight. There are many Vikings that live over there now. We even have a king over there, and although he doesn't rule the whole island, the main part in the middle is all Dane law. Another bonus point if you know which island it is that they're talking about there. What are they talking about? Or not the island, but who are the group of people who live there? That's a better question. So now he's going to talk to us about weaving, and I think this is the last section. It must be, because it must be about the end of the day. Even now, having worked for hours already, I still can't go out to play. All girls and women must learn how to weave cloth. I'm getting quite good at it, although I can't do some of the fancy patterns that all Vikings love yet. We've used all the wool that we clipped off our sheep last summer and spun it into a yarn. Now we use a loom and turn it into a fabric. Sometimes the fabric is used for clothes, sometimes it's for blankets, and sometimes it's used for sailing the boats. The sails for the boats. We use a lot of bright colours. For the colour red, we use the root of the madder plant. For blue, we use the leaves of the woad plant. For green, we use club moss, and for yellow, we use a plant called Dyer's Rocket. Aunt Frith has just finished weaving a sail for the brand new boat that my cousin Harold is building with the shipwright. The Jarl will be using it when he and Father sail to Great Britain this year. They'll be back in time to bring in the harvest. I think Harold will probably be going with them for the first time this year. He's really looking forward to it. He struts around the village now, showing off his new trousers. All the young men think these are very fashionable because they're really tight, but all the old men laugh and the teenagers just think they look ridiculous. Soon Mother will begin making the evening meal. We'll be eating wild boar tonight. Father caught it 2 days ago and I can't wait. I love the taste of boar. We'll be eating it with some of last year's turnips that have survived the winter. It would have been really nice to have some berries to put in with it, but they're all finished now. It will make a nice change to have meat for dinner. Most of the time we eat vegetable stew, but sometimes we have chicken, pork from our own pigs, or occasionally beef. We usually eat these in the autumn because we don't always have enough fodder to keep all our animals alive over the winter. Tonight will be fun. Svein has made himself a new flute, so he will play alongside Harold and we'll have some music. And Eggle and I are learning how to play Neflafl. It's a bit like your chess. I can usually beat Eggle, but I've never won against Sven. He's really good at it, and sometimes he can beat the older men. Thord will be busy making and sewing our new soles for our shoes. They have to be replaced very frequently, but rather than throw the whole shoe out, we just put new soles on them. Father will be relaxing. He spent a lot of evenings making, mending and sharpening all the swords and knives, and now he's ready for his trip across the sea. We'll all go to bed quite early because there's lots of work to do tomorrow. Okay, so how did you get on? Hope you got on really well with that, with the challenge. Well, I managed to pick out a fact for each one, so I've got 8 points there. I know that the children have to help care for the animals by feeding the pigs and various other things. They worship gods and sacrifice animals to them in return for blessings. And it surprised me that they even play games, okay? Now, did you know where Jorvik was? Jorvik is actually the city of York, which is in the north of England. And the island that they were talking about Great Britain, but they were also talking about the Anglo-Saxons. Those are the people that they used to fight and trade with. We've known about them, don't we, from last half term. So a quick question for you now then. Based on what you've learned, who do you think had the hardest life? Okay, there's a picture here to just help inspire your thinking. That's that stone that they were talking about, the child was talking about. Okay, so was it slaves who had the hardest life, women, children, or men? Who had the easiest life and why? Pause the video and have a think about that. You might even want to have a bit of a debate with somebody near you. Okay, now your tasks, you've got 2, so please just choose one of the tasks. First task is to write a diary as a Viking. So you could choose to be a child, boy or girl, man or woman, and use what you've learnt to write about your day. So what would you do in the morning, the middle of the day, the afternoon? Can you talk about your roles and responsibilities, your hopes and your dreams? Maybe you're about to embark on a journey, if you're a man. Maybe if you're a woman, you're having to watch maybe your husband or your son go. Remember to use first person, I or we, verbs such as walked, worked, jumped, fought, and examples of events that have happened during your day, and emotions as well, to make it authentic. The second task is a bit of a Viking fashion show task. So if you've been a bit inspired by clothing and thinking about what they used to wear, use the extra information that's at the end of the PDF about clothes to create a poster of the latest Viking fashions, so what they wore. You could even tea stain your paper to make it look like old vellum that they might have written on. You'll need to include sketches of the different items of clothing and labels to explain what they are, how they would have been worn and what they would have been made from. You might want to include some runes just to make the writing look a bit authentic. Be creative. You could also use persuasive techniques, because we've been learning about persuasive techniques this year, to turn your poster into an advert. You know, buy the latest fashions, all that kind of thing. So good luck, everyone, and I hope that you enjoy your history lesson, okay? Remember to send your work into Year 5 email and have a great day. Bye, everyone.